Yeah, what's going on, guys? Of course, it's back on Hip Hop Made Me Do It. This is episode 5, I believe. Um, and today we are doing the album review for Lil Wayne's long-awaited project, The Carter 5. Was supposed to come out 7 years ago. And it was held because of some fuck shit Birdman wanted to do, and that's all in the past now. The Carter 5 is out, and I am doing a review on it, so thank you for joining me. Um, Now, about the project. There's, um, there's a few things with it. Just to put it out there right now, I don't think it's bad. Um, I don't think it was fucking trash. I thought it was alright for a Wayne album. Um, and this is crazy because the shit I'm gonna say for this album, um, in terms of the review when I get deeper, um, back in the day I used to hate Wayne so much when I was younger. Um, he did have a monstrous run. I always acknowledge that. But back in the day, I really didn't like the fact that he used all the auto tune and he sounded like freaking his throat was about to fucking fall down his body and he was gonna shit it out. Like, he sounded terrible um, to me back in the day, and I really couldn't enjoy his music. But this was also a time where I was addicted to old school hip hop, so I was very biased. Um, Now, when the Carter 5 was supposed to come out, I think that I was lightening up to Lil Wayne, but I still felt a certain way about him, to the point where I probably wouldn't have cared back then. Like when he dropped, how long did that was that ago? I was in 7th grade. That was years ago. When he dropped How to Love, I fucking hated that song, but it was a hit. And now looking back on it years later, I respect that he tried to do something different and he tried to branch out his music field. So I'm saying all this to say that hearing this project with a newer mindset on Wayne really did help me make a proper review of it and get a proper analysis of it for you guys today. If I was to do this years ago, I know for a fact I would have shitted all over this project. All over it. But it does not deserve to be shitted on. Wayne is definitely a legend in the hip hop community. Always will be respected. And this project might be just a case of I don't want to say that because it's not like M, where I still feel M should stop making music. I feel like he's met his end. I feel like Lil Wayne, he's coming to that point, but I still would see at least a project or two projects left out of him if this wasn't his last one. But enough about that. We're gonna get straight into the review. What I thought about it, I thought it was okay. I thought it was alright, but it had way too many flaws that easily could have been avoided. The project, in terms of lyrical content, was good shit. It was great. Wayne was on his shit in terms of rap. In terms of production, something he has control of. He chose the beats after all. Let's just say the production was one of the main things that held down this project from being another classic. My favorite songs in here were Took His Time, Problems, and start this shit off. I thought all those songs were amazing. I'm going to listen to those songs to the end of time. I loved all three, especially Start This Shit Off featuring Ashanti. Thought that was such an amazing song. So amazing. Um, Now, if I'm grading this project usually on how I do it, in terms of how many tracks I save out of the project. Um, I didn't even save half. I saved 7 songs out of the 23 tracks that were on this project. Um, that's a lot of songs. However, 23 tracks is also a lot of songs. Um, so I can't grade it in that type of way. For that, it would just be, I don't know, it'd just be unfair, kind of. Because say if this was a 12, a standardized 12, 10 track album, I saved 7 tracks, that would have been a very good project, honestly. And he just put too much. He put too much on here. But I'm going to go through bullet points. First, I'm going to start with Lil Wayne's lyrical content. Like I said um, a few minutes ago, um, it was really good. I thought his lyrical content was deep in most cases. And he hit the money on most tracks. He hasn't lost a step in terms of lyrical content. Um, a few songs that stood out to me lyrical wise, songs like Don't Cry, um, and what else? The last track on here, I'm trying to remember what it was. If I look through the track list here, Let It All Work Out, have very good content, like the line about his mom's gun and shooting himself. I don't have time to look for the actual lyrics right now, but he had a certain line about his mom's pistol that she used to hide, and he shot himself with it, trying to like feel something. He's trying to feel a sense of something, and that God gave him another chance. Stuff like that. Like, he had really deep content all over this project, and in terms of good projects, that's something we want to look for in terms of real rap. Like mumble rap, we expect, the all the tracks to be either about fucking bitches, money, taking Xanax, smoking weed, getting high, partying, stuff like that. Just fun music to just vibe to, go to a club to, or even just get turned to in your room. That's what we expect out of that. From people like Wayne, Eminem, Jay-Z, Kanye, etc., etc., we expect um, a certain lyrical content, like actual substance, because that's where they came up from. That's their generation's thing. Um, they can rap. Like they can rap. Is the simplest terms to put it. And yeah, Lil Wayne didn't fail on that part at all. Now, production. Production, for the most part, for most of these tracks on this project, on the Carter 5, the production was fucking utterly garbage. I'm sorry if you liked most of the project, if you liked the whole project, um, I don't blame you. I'm saying it's good, but the production was really, really trash for most of the whole thing. Most of these producers on this project honestly should be ashamed for giving Wayne these weak ass fucking beats. Like, I don't care if he chose them or not. If I was one of the producers, I would be like, nah, bruh, like, I'm gonna give you something better than this. You don't want this. Like, you don't want this. Literally, like, I don't know. Most of these sounded like some stock demo beat subpar type music I'd get from the YouTube instrumental collection. Like, it just, most of it was so cheesy, flat in terms of mixes, and I mean it probably because most of these beats are old and quality has changed over all these years. I mean, it's almost been a decade that this project was supposed to drop. Still waiting for Detox, Dr. Dre. No, it's fine. Yeah, quality has changed over all these years, and most of these felt like they were lacking a certain oomph in them. Um, they did not hit whatsoever. I mean, my favorite songs, they did. Um, the the songs that I really liked the most of those were okay in terms of quality, but most of the tracks, most of the production on the album was just so subpar. Like, definitely could have had better beats for sure, for sure. Mm, yeah, man. Um, Production just wasn't doing it. They didn't do their part. Now, my next bullet point. I've said this before to you guys, and this is always a big criteria for albums for me. This is always the biggest criteria. For people that have seen my reviews on Facebook, they know this is absolutely like the number one thing I look for in projects, and that's longevity. You need longevity in a good project. Will I be listening to this album 2, 3, 5 years from now? Is it that good? And my answer is I'll say my favorites have longevity. My favorite songs on this project. They definitely have longevity. I can see myself bumping um, Start Shit Off or Problems at least 3 years from now. I can still see myself bumping those. Um, but as for the project as a whole, no. I will not go back and listen to the Carter 5 even a year from now, let alone 5 years. It's just, it has zero longevity to it. Um, Most of the project has okay songs, pretty good songs, and really great songs. Even his worst songs on here weren't even that bad. But the project, I don't know if it was the how much tracks there were or the order of the track listing, but I just sometimes I really zoned out listening to this project, and that to me as a listener tells me that at some point in this project I was really fucking bored. And if I'm bored with a project, why the hell am I going to listen to it again years from now? That just tells me it didn't resonate with me. Um, it didn't do its part. I mean, we waited so long for this project. You would think it's going to be a classic, and it fell kind of short. Um, I definitely think there's zero longevity on this project. Yeah, I'll be bumping my favorites, but will I go back and listen to the whole project? No, I'm just not. Now, the biggest problems for this project that I have to address is that there were too much useless tracks on here. I already know I said there were too many tracks. I mean, putting 15 tracks on a project is already pushing it. When you put 23, you better give me a fucking masterpiece. And like, there was already too much tracks, but most of them he didn't need at all. Like, I literally would have scrapped 12 projects. I mean, projects, sorry. Boy, am I a fucking space cadet. I would have scrapped 12 songs easily off this entire project. I would have been fine with 11 tracks. 11, 12, shit, even 7. Even 7. And it would have been a good project. Most of these he really did not need. A lot of these were a waste of time. Yes, the content was good, but like, in terms of a song, like listening value, like I'm never going to listen to most of that shit. which goes back to the longevity again. Most of those tracks were just useless. It was a waste. They did not need to be on the project. The tone of the whole project was too mellow and dark. Like there wasn't a good balance between beautiful tracks and dark gritty tracks and hype energy um production and or songs. There wasn't a good balance. Most of the album was very slow, melancholy, mellow, dark-ish type content. The album was too chill. It was too chill. That's not a bad thing in most cases. Like for example, RP to him, Mac Miller, he just put out Swimming. That whole project was chill. Um, but it wasn't bad. It was very groovy. It was funky. It had very, very, very deep subject matter. Um, it kept you in tune with all the great instrumentation and just the creativity. But overall, it was chill. That's just one example. But for most cases, chill music is not a bad thing. But it's got to be done right. It's just got to be done correctly. And here, it wasn't. It felt like Wayne tried to stay lit for most of the tracks and fight the mood on beats that didn't call for that energy at all. Um, what's the song I could think of on here that was a perfect example of that? Um, lucky I got my Spotify still open. Let's see. I think it was either Demon, Open Safe, or Used to. Those tracks, you felt Wayne's energy. He tried to come hard, but the beat did not back it up at all. So it just felt out of place. That's like if I try to get turnt in church or I don't know, if I met a guy on the street who's playing an acoustic guitar and try to kick some rhymes like it's the 1980s, like the vibe just doesn't fit the production, the vibe that he was going for. I felt like he was battling um himself kind of the whole project. We know what type of energy he wanted, but then the beats wouldn't resonate with it, so it didn't work out. And it just all goes back to production and decisions. You got to make good decisions with these producers on what beats you want, and I just feel like he really did not choose wisely for most of the project. But with the negatives, there is positives. The best things about this project is how honest, deep, and soulful it was. I really appreciate that. And honestly, it was a nice change of pace to all the lit shit we get all the time now. Like, for me, honestly, I like my mumble rap. I'm not gonna lie. I love it. I love my Playboy Cardis. I love my comethazines. People like that. I love that shit. Um, but to hear it all the time, sometimes, like for example, sometimes I'll be on a drive with my boys, and we'll just be in the car, and I try to play some music or whatever, and we're all just sitting there, and it'd be a playlist of like current hip hop or whatever, and we're all just sitting there, and after like 5 minutes, we're like, damn, we kind of need to listen to something else. We hear this all the time. Like every artist is starting to sound pretty much the same. Um, Sometimes you just need a break from it all. Honestly, it's just like if you were going partying. You don't want to party every day. It's gonna get tiring. You don't want to do something too much all the time. It's just gonna get really nauseating. So with that said, I appreciated how much depth this album had, how honest, deep, and soulful it was. It felt like actual music for a change. And I thought I'd never say that for Lil Wayne, but it felt like real music. It was a good change of pace that I appreciate. So yeah, man. Overall consensus of the project, the reoccurring theme here is the production. It was just so low class for most of the project, but Wayne's content was honestly gold. I loved it. Um, and it was very it. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna bullshit. It was a very smooth listen. I don't want to name drop him. I feel like I'm talking about him too much, but Eminem's project was fucking torture for me. Like, it was so bad. I know how good Eminem is as a rapper, but my god, that album was so torturous to listen to. Compared to this one, with this Wayne album, it was so smooth to listen to. Even the tracks I didn't like. Like, despite liking 7 of the 23 tracks, and 3 of the 7 were my absolute favorites, I appreciate that even his not so good tracks weren't complete garbage. Like, I was able to really just sit there and digest the whole project and not cringe. And it was good. It was good in that sense. Um it's just, I mean, production, I know I'm talking about the production. The production, at the end of the day, production isn't everything with a project to make it solid. I feel like that's the curse that we Generation Z and millennials have now, is that the producers are so good that they're overtaking the quality of what makes a song a good song. Um and production is not everything. I recognize that. There's more to a project to make a project solid. Flow, substance or content, production again, bars and punchlines, and quality are like all the major factors in a project to make it what it is. The flow, if I go down of the criteria I just gave, the flow for most songs, it was your standard Wayne flow. He didn't miss a beat on terms of that. It's the same thing, really. There was one song though. He sounded exactly like Future. I think that was Problems. Is probably why I liked it so much. He sounded exactly like Future though. He was biting the fuck out of him. But yeah, his flow was pretty standard. The substance and content matter was really good. Again, at times, it was very enticing. At how he could dig so deep within himself and evaluate himself as a person and his morals. I, I really, really dig the content on this project. It's what stopped this project easily from being um, like a 5 or a 4. The content was really good. Production, you know how I feel by now. It was just very, very weak. The bars and the punchlines, they were also standard for Wayne. And then lastly, the quality of the project in terms of vocals, they were solid. Not the best, but they were good. The quality of melody and the music in some songs were gorgeous, luscious, they were rich, but most were lacking that. Most songs were lacking that. And most songs, which is fear when you have a project sitting around this long, just felt way past their time. Like I mentioned, most of the beats felt flat. The mixes were absolutely rushed and unfinished. I can tell as a listener and someone who does music, I could tell those how much more the production value needed. Um, it, a lot of stuff just felt unfinished. Our ears are already fixed to a better quality of sound now, so I mean, it's been damn near almost 10 years. Again, it's hard to listen to 23 tracks all the way through that sound like they belong in 2010 or 2011. The overall consensus is quality over quantity here. Wayne had too many tracks, most he didn't need. If he gave me the 7 tracks I saved from this thing, um, which are, let me see. If he gave me Dedicate, Problems, Took His Time, Start This Shit Off, um Dark Side of the Moon, Perfect Strangers. If he gave me all those tracks plus the intro to this project, shit, this project easily could have been an 8 or a 9. Easily. If he gave me all those tracks plus the intro to this. And I guess Don't Cry. Even though I didn't save it, I didn't go crazy for it, but it was a good song. So, including Don't Cry. If he gave me Don't Cry, the 7 tracks I just listed, and the intro to this project, this easily could have been a 9 project. Because he's Wayne, though, I'm not gonna gas it. That's how I feel like most people are doing. Just because he's Little Wayne, you're putting it on a higher standard. And I'm gonna be honest, because that's what I do here. I don't care who it is, I'm gonna be honest. And I'm not gonna gas it. This wasn't his best. This wasn't his best project at all. It was very underwhelming for considering how long we waited for his project. It was super underwhelming. Um, yeah, it wasn't his best. It wasn't complete shit. It wasn't garbage. I'll tell you when something's fucking trash. But it wasn't his best work at all. And in terms of score, I'm gonna give this one a 6.5 out of 10. Honestly. When I first started the project, I was thinking 5, honestly. I was thinking of 5 for this project, but the second half really carried this thing through. The second half, like around track 12 and Bottom, were really good. There was a few things in the first half of the project that were alright, but really the bottom half is what carried this project through, which also told me that there were way too many tracks and useless tracks on this whole thing. You could have split this album in half. He could have gave us 2 Carters, Carter 5, Carter 6. If Carter 5 was the first half of this project, it would have been pretty bad. But if he gave us Carter 6 and it was the bottom half of this project, it would have been a really, really, really good project. So, yeah. 6.5 out of 10. I'm sticking to that. It was just okay, people. Please don't overhype. It was good at certain times, but overall it was just okay. Wasn't bad. Still better than Eminem. But it was good. I could sit here and say it was pretty good or okay. I wouldn't be mad at you if you rated a 7, especially if you're a die-hard Wayne fan. Nothing above 7 though. Like 7 at the absolute most. At the absolute most for this project. Anyways, that's my review, guys. Hope you liked it. Please be honest with me. Tell me what you think in the comment below. Was this fire or was this fucking shit? You let me know what your rating would have been out of 1 to 10. And yeah, I'm out. See you later.